Hello, I'm Dr. Luke Michael Howard. I'd like to spend a few moments with you before your session to talk a little bit about hypnosis, perhaps answer some of the questions you may have on your mind. This will save us a lot of time when your session actually begins. Please make sure that you have a clipboard and a piece of paper. Write down any questions you have so we can discuss them when I come into the office. Now, for you to understand how hypnosis works, it's very important for you to understand how your mind works. You know, we never think about how our mind works. We basically say to ourselves, if we think about it, I think, so I exist, and then we leave it at that. But you know, we really have two very distinctive and separate minds. They do different things, and they have a hard time interrelating and communicating with each other. First, we have the conscious mind. Well, that's where we are right now. Below that level of awareness, we have something called the subconscious or unconscious mind. The unconscious or subconscious mind does an awful lot of things. It controls the strength or weakness of your immune system and also controls all body function. The automatic body functions, such as your heart beating, eyes blinking, and other things of that order. The conscious mind is where we spend most of our time. I want you to understand that it basically only does four things. This first thing it does is it analyzes. What is that? Well, it's the part of us that looks at problems, analyzes them, figures a way to solve these particular problems that are bothering us at any moment. It's also the part of us that makes the hundreds of decisions we have to make just to get through an average day. Decisions we think are automatic, but in fact are not. Things like, should I open the door? Should I turn the water on? Should I tie my shoes? Well, we think those are automatic functions, but we must make a decision as to whether or not we want to do these things. Now, the second part of the conscious mind is the part that starts to get us in a little bit of trouble sometimes. We call this the rational part of our conscious mind. This part of us must give us a reason as to why we behave in any particular fashion. You see, if we don't have a good reason why we do things that we do, we become anxious, nervous, frustrated, and if it goes on long enough, it can lead to severe mental illness. The mental hospitals, for example, are full of people who do things and they don't know why they do them. The only problem with the reason the rational mind may give us on why we behave in any particular fashion is, number one, it is never original. For example, a smoker says he smokes because it calms him, makes him feel relaxed, gives him time to pause and gather his thoughts. An overweight person will say, I'm overweight because I eat when I'm bored, I eat when I'm nervous, I have a thyroid problem, or I have a glandular problem. The problem with this reason is it's never original. Before the smoker developed his habit, he heard other people that smoked say, I smoke because it makes me feel calm and relaxed. Or he heard an overweight person say, I'm just overweight because I eat when I'm nervous. The problem with this is we understand and know the reason why people are smokers and overweight. Generally, smokers start because for their need of security. They want to belong to another gang of friends, usually in their younger years, somewhere between 12 and 20. Security is a basic need for all human beings. We generally get all the security we need when we grow up in a good family, but usually at the age of 12 or 13 in that area, our parents don't seem as smart as they used to. So we shut off our ability to gain security from those individuals, and we want security by being part of a group of kids at school. Some of them smoke, some of them don't. If we feel that we don't belong to this particular group, because our subconscious mind is a very interesting part of us, it must protect us against the dangers and not getting the necessary security we need in a definite danger to us. Frequently, it will say Smokers are accepted and secure. When that happens, the next time someone offers you a cigarette and you take it, immediately you feel like you're part of this group and your security level goes up. This is why people start smoking. It has nothing to do with being calm or relaxed. So you must understand that the reason the rational mind gives us for why we behave in a particular fashion is never original and is most always incorrect. You don't start smoking because it makes you feel calm. You start when you need security. Now, the next part of the conscious mind is what we call willpower. Now, we're all familiar with willpower. You might say, I'm going to put down this pack of cigarettes and nothing on God's earth will make me start smoking again. Or we all know how long that lasts. You know, if you go on a diet, how long that lasts. And just until the willpower weakens and the old habit patterns come back again. The last part of the conscious mind is what we call the working memory. That's the memory we need every day. How do I find my way to work? What's my husband or wife's name? What's my children's name? What's my phone number? Things of this order. The memory we need just to get through an average day. Now this is all that the conscious mind does. It does nothing else. I want you to think of this part of your mind. For example, have you ever seen the TV show Star Trek? I'm sure you're familiar with the character Spock. Spock is very logical and an analytical person. So is our conscious mind. So if you will, we're going to call that part of your mind your Spock mind. Very logical, very analytical, and frequently wrong. Now, where the real you, me, and everyone else lives is in the level below the conscious mind, called the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is awesomely powerful. It can make you into anything you'd like to be. Rich and famous, thin, happy or sad. It's all real to us. To understand the subconscious mind, you need to understand that it is very much like a computer, and it operates like a computer operates. You know that if you go out and buy a computer, put it on your desk, and ask it a question, it will not be able to answer you. The reason is, at that point, the computer has no program in it whatsoever. Now, a computer can only operate based on the programming that's been placed in it and must operate on that programming. It has no choice. You know that if you change the program in the computer that you buy at a store, it can no longer operate on the old programming, and it must operate on a new programming information that's been placed into it. Well, this is the way our subconscious mind works. It's like a computer. It functions on the same rules and regulations as an electronic one does, only it's much more powerful. We program our computers every day of our lives through our life experiences. When we're born, our computers are basically unprogrammed. There's a little bit of programming in them, but not much. Every day we add programming to our internal computer. Now, the primary rule of our computer is it must, underline, exclamation point, make us into the type of person that it perceives us to be based on the programming that's been placed into it, and will continue to be placed into it until we die. For example, if that computer of ours, based on its programming, says we're fat, we're fat. If it says we're thin or a smoker, a success or a failure, then that's what we are. It adds up all the programming and makes decisions about us, about the type of person we are. This programming has been placed in there from many sources, and it must operate on this programming. What is some of the operational software, if you will, that's in our internal computer? First is all our memory. Since the day we're born, we think things that have happened to us in the past as either forgotten or as retained in the form of a memory. So what we're doing here is we're talking about the working memory of the conscious mind. The subconscious mind is like a video camera. everything that has ever happened to you, everything that you have heard, seen, smelt, tasted, is locked permanently into the memory banks of your subconscious mind. We never forget anything. If there is ever reason to, in hypnosis, we can access the memory bank, and it seems like we can actually travel back in time. For example, in regression hypnosis, we can travel back and relive your first birthday or your birth. Now, this is much more than recall. It's actually like you're there, like it's happening all over again. You can see what happened, you can smell, you can taste, you can hear very clearly. We never forget anything in the subconscious, only at the conscious level. The second programming we have in the inner mind, the subconscious mind, is habit. Now, you have three kinds of habits. Only three. You know that you have some good habits. Of course you do. And you know that you have some bad habits. Don't we all? But really, most of our habits aren't good or bad. Most of our habits really are just basic habits. Utilitarian habits, if you will. We automatically respond in a certain fashion when something else happens. When the telephone rings, for example, we don't look at it and wonder what it is. We automatically pick it up. Depending on our mood, we answer it in a certain manner. Now, the next thing in our subconscious mind is emotion. Of course, we wouldn't want to be without our emotions, love and caring and all those good emotions. But sometimes our emotions get us into trouble. The conscious mind cannot deal with emotions in any way. That's not part of its job. Anytime we need emotion, our conscious mind parts like the Red Sea. And we deal with this particular situation from our irrational, juvenile-like, but highly intelligent subconscious mind. As I said, sometimes it gets us into trouble. I know that many times in the past you've dealt with a situation and it didn't have to have a lot of emotion, just a little bit. Then, after the situation was over and that analytical, conscious mind took over again, you heard yourself thinking or saying something like this: "Why did I say that? Why did I do that? It was so stupid." And that inner subconscious mind laughs and said, "Yeah, but it was so much fun." This has happened to all of us at some time. Now, the next thing in the subconscious mind, and probably the most important part of it, is our protective mind. It must protect us against danger, real or imagined. You can see something imagined by the subconscious mind is just as if it was actually happened. It can't tell the difference and it must protect us against danger. A quick example. A couple of years ago, a woman came to see me. She was 5'1". She weighed close to 300 pounds. She sat in my chair and told me how she had an eating problem. But years of experience told me she didn't have an eating problem. I knew that an event in the past had caused her subconscious mind to protect her by making her heavy. Briefly, what happened with this particular woman was, and she could not recall this with her conscious mind, but when she was about 6 years of age, her stepfather abused her. She told her mother, and her mother didn't believe her. She felt guilty, as if she did something wrong, but she didn't get heavy at this point. When she was in high school in the 50s, she felt as if she was a little bit more promiscuous, then she felt good to herself about. She felt the boys in high school were just trying to hurt her. That didn't cause her to become heavy either. But when she was 24 years old and she married the White Knight, a man who could do no wrong, on their honeymoon, the second day they were married, they were having dinner in the Bahamas, and he decided to cleanse his soul and show her how much he loved her. He told her that when he was just a young guy, 18, 19 years old, in the Air Force, he used to pick up women and just use them and throw them away. Well, you can imagine what the subconscious mind felt about this one man, and this woman felt that she thought she could trust above every other man in the world would actually do this to a woman. The subconscious mind then went back into its memory banks and into its computer information and said, "The stepfather hurt you very badly. The boys in high school were trying to hurt you very badly, and now this one man you could trust above every other man says that he could do this to a woman, then he certainly has the capacity of doing this to you." And instantly it made the decision, men hurt women, therefore I must protect you against men. Now it can't teach her karate, it can't buy her a gun, so it protected her in the only way it knew it could, by helping her gain weight rapidly. So very soon she became very fat, and certainly men no longer had an interest in her, and she was protected. This is how the subconscious protects us sometimes, in a way that we would prefer it didn't, but protection is its primary job. The last part of the subconscious is a negative part of us. Although this subconscious is so powerful, it's also the laziest part of us. It doesn't like to do the work that's required to accept positive suggestions, to give us change in the areas that we'd like to change. It likes to keep things the way they are. It takes too much work to make a change in a positive way. And positive suggestions are one of the most difficult things to get into the subconscious mind. On the other hand, negative suggestions go into the inner part of us like a hot knife through butter, because it doesn't take any work to accept a negative suggestion. Let me show you how this works. You take a very heavy person and they get out of the shower. They're standing in front of a mirror, toweling off. What do you think they're saying to themselves as they look into the mirror? "Boy, am I fat." Now, that idea or thought or words go right into the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind says, "Yes, that matches the programming I have in here. That matches my perception of you." Therefore, it accepts the suggestion. So the perception of that individual being fat becomes stronger and they become heavier. On the other hand, if you take that same heavy person, stand them in front of a mirror and have them say, I'm thin, and I'm attractive," that goes towards the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind says, "No, that does not match the programming, and it's not allowed in." How do we get suggestions into the inner mind? Now, it is so important for you to understand this. If an idea, a thought, or a concept is allowed to go into your subconscious mind, it must happen. You are changing the programming, and the inner mind must respond to new programming, but it's not that easy. Let me explain how it works. You make a decision. Let's say to stop smoking. You make up your mind at a conscious level that nothing in the world is going to stop you from ending the smoking habit. Now your conscious mind says, "That's wonderful, and I support you 100%. You're going to be healthy. You're not going to get emphysema or heart or blood disease." But to have that change effectively happen, you've got to get it down into the computer in order to change the programming. And so you say fine, and you start to send that idea down to your subconscious mind. But here's the problem. There's one more part of the conscious mind I haven't told you about yet. And I want you to think of this part of your conscious mind as kind of like an employee, if you will, of the subconscious. Every Friday night, the subconscious gives it its pay for the week, and it does exactly what it's told to and only has one job. That job is to stop, to put on hold, like a red traffic light. Any suggestion of positive change that we give ourselves or receive from an outside source, it stops it. And then in a way we don't understand, but we know it does happen, that there is a communication between this part of us called the critical factor of the conscious and the subconscious mind. The critical factor says, well, this person wants to stop smoking. Can I let that suggestion in? Now remember, if that suggestion goes into the inner mind, it must happen. But the subconscious mind says, wait a minute, he's been smoking for 20 years. He needs cigarettes for security, or whatever other reason this may be for this person. Besides, you realize, I have to do so many years of reprogram and I just don't feel up to it. I don't want to do it. And it rejects the suggestion. Well, that's the critical factor's boss. So the critical factor of the conscious mind kind of turns into a mirror and rejects that suggestion, and it cannot go into the inner mind. Now we only have one other place to take that idea, and that's to willpower, and that's in the conscious. And we know how long willpower lasts. How many diets have we been on, and how many times have you tried to quit smoking or stop that annoying habit? Well, how we get suggestions into the subconscious mind? Well, in this faculty we call hypnosis. Now, what hypnosis does is it bypasses the critical factor, the blocking part of the conscious mind. It's like giving it a couple of dollars and sending it to McDonald's, and we'll tell it when to come back. Now, this is what most people who are ignorant of hypnosis think hypnosis really is. If this was all hypnosis was, then some of the stories you may have heard about hypnosis might be true. Things like, I can control you, or I can make you do anything that I want you to do and have you do things against your will. Well, if this was all it was, and that would be true, but God didn't leave you too vulnerable yet. So it's true up to a point. But the instant this critical factor of our conscious mind is bypassed, what happens is we go into a deep state of hypnosis. Now, when we're in a deep state of hypnosis, it's not what you expect it to be. Our bodies, if we're using a relaxation type of hypnosis, our bodies become very relaxed. But the more we go into hypnosis, the more our conscious mind becomes alert. The deeper levels of hypnosis, your conscious mind is 200 to 300% more alert than you are at this very moment. All of your 5 senses, including hearing, smelling, tasting and seeing, are hundreds of times better than they are right now. So when you're in hypnosis, you're not asleep, you are extremely alert, probably more alert and clear-minded than you have ever been before. Now, the important thing to understand about this is that the conscious mind takes on a different role when you're in hypnosis. I want you to think of it as it's playing a role of the guardian of the gates of protecting you. When you receive a suggestion in hypnosis, you hear it loud and clear. Now, when you hear that suggestion, and these are the tools for success or failure with hypnosis, when you hear that suggestion with your conscious mind, you must, and you really do have no choice, you must make one of 4 decisions about that suggestion. Which decisions you make determines whether that suggestion is allowed to enter your subconscious or whether it's rejected. If it's allowed to enter, you will have the change that you're here to achieve. If it's rejected, no change will happen. What are the 4 decisions or choices? Well, the first one could be, when you hear the suggestion, you think or you say to yourself something like this: I like that suggestion. Boy, I know that one is going to work. Now, that mental attitude at the conscious level allows the suggestion to go into the computer, the subconscious mind, and change begins. Unfortunately, you have three other choices. The next choice could be, well, forget actually hating a suggestion or feeling that it's against your morals or beliefs, but perhaps the suggestion is just a tiny little bit uncomfortable for you. Like a pair of shoes or jeans you wanted to buy, but you knew if you did, you'd end up a cripple in about 3 months because they just didn't fit right. Well, if that suggestion sounds just the tiniest bit uncomfortable to you for any reason, it's automatically blocked with the conscious mind and it's not allowed to enter the computer, and there is no change. The next choice could be that you're neutral about a suggestion. You don't care if you get it, you don't care if you don't get it. It's kind of like a meaningless suggestion to you. The conscious mind automatically blocks that suggestion and it can't get into your computer. The last choice you have is probably the choice which causes most people to fail, or more people to fail with hypnosis. If they do fail, it goes something like this. When you hear the suggestion, you say to yourself, oh, I'd like that suggestion. Boy, I hope it works. The word hope is the ugly twin sister of the word try, and try means automatic failure. If you look back on your life, being honest with yourself, anytime you tried to do something, you failed. Okay, Mom, I'll try. Okay, Dad, I'll try. Try means failure. If you look back at your life, anytime you have said to yourself, I'm going to do it, and there was no question about it, you did it. And you probably did it very well. Hope is the ugly twin sister of the word try. You could hope for cows to come home. That doesn't actually mean they're going to come home. So if you could say hope or try, the suggestion is blocked by the conscious mind. It's not allowed to enter the computer, and there is no change. A little thought. If you eliminate the words hope and try from your personal and professional vocabulary from this moment on, within a week you're going to feel better than you've felt in a long time. The only time a suggestion is allowed to go into the computer is if you take the mental attitude when you hear that suggestion, I like that suggestion, I know it's going to work, and that's how easy it is. Now let me give you some real home truths. The first is this: there's no such thing as hypnosis. There, I said it. There never has and there never will be. I've been in this field for many, many years, and I've never been hypnotized, and I've never hypnotized a single person, and I doubt I ever will. There's only one form of hypnosis. There's always only been one, and there only will ever be one. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. You don't need me to go into a beautiful and deep state of hypnosis all by yourself. And you certainly don't need me to give you suggestions of positive change in any area of your life. You can do this all by yourself. The reason you're here today is only because you don't know how to do it. But we teach people how to do this all the time. It's the easiest thing in the world. But all I can ever be for you or anybody else is not a hypnotist. Because if I called myself a hypnotist, that means I could do something and guess you are supposed to respond in a certain fashion, and I can't do that. The reality and the truth is, I can only ever be a guide for you and nothing more. And if you allow me to be your guide, I'll show you how to place yourself in a beautiful state of hypnosis, feeling the physical relaxation and mental alertness. If you allow me to be your guide, I'll show you how to stay there until we're finished. If you don't want to be in this beautiful and relaxed state, the slightest thought by you and it's over, and you come back to your normal state of awareness. But if you follow my guidance, I'll show you how to stay there. And then the most important thing of all is, if you accept the suggestions given to you with the correct mental attitude, I like it, I know it's going to work, you'll have to change in the way you want it. If you take one of the other choices, you'll fail. I can't force a suggestion into your mind. Only you can allow it to happen. Hypnosis is a 100% consent state by you. You must allow things to happen. You can stop them from happening with the slightest thought if you don't want it to happen. Now, I want you to understand that anyone, as long as their IQ is above 70 and they want hypnosis, can go into a very deep level of hypnosis. How fast? Just like that. The only thing that keeps a person from going into a beautiful state of physical relaxation and mental alertness is if they have a fear or misconception about what hypnosis really is. And I'd like to talk briefly about some of the more common fears and misconceptions about hypnosis. Some people feel that when they're in hypnosis that they're asleep. Well, I want you to know that when your mind is 300 or 400% more alert than it is at this very moment, then it's about as far from sleep as you're ever going to get. It's a lifetime away. Hypnosis has nothing to do with sleep. Some people are afraid they won't wake up from hypnosis, and this is true. I agree with that. I have never known anyone to wake up from hypnosis. You see, there's only one thing you can wake up from, and that's sleep. If you're not asleep, you can't wake up. Semantics, yes, but we use words in our profession. They're our only tool. The term is emerge from hypnosis. Anytime you would want to emerge from hypnosis, all you have to do is have the slightest thought that you don't want to be in this relaxed state, and instantaneously it's over and you're back to your normal awareness. Then there is that powerful misconception that some people have that says I can control you and make you do whatever I want you to do. I have to be honest with you. I wish that was true, because then I could guarantee your success. But remember, you have those 4 choices when you hear a suggestion, and the only time the suggestion is allowed to enter your computer is if you say, I like it, I know it's going to work, I can't force that in, I can't control you. I want you to know that you and you alone are responsible for your success. You and you alone are responsible for your failure. What mental attitude you take when you hear a suggestion determines success or failure. Some people have the misconception that they will tell me all their deep, dark secrets when they're in hypnosis. For the very same reasons of mental alertness, you're more in control of anything you choose to do or say while you're in hypnosis than you are right now. If you don't want to tell me something, then you won't. If I ask you for information that's none of my business and has nothing to do with the work we're doing today, you're simply to tell me it's none of my business. No one can make you divulge information. As a matter of fact, if I wanted that kind of information from you, I'd have a far better chance of obtaining it now in your normal conscious awareness, because right now you're mentally dull compared to your mental capability when you're in hypnosis. Some people will say, wait a minute, I hear what you're saying, but I've seen stage hypnosis. I know these people, they control these people in the audience. I've seen them bark like dogs, dance around like Madonna, and do all kinds of crazy things. Many years ago, I was a stage hypnotist, and let me tell you how it works. When a stage hypnotist comes to town, there's advertising, and a lot of people are interested, so they show up. They want to see the show, and a lot of them would like to be volunteers for the stage hypnotist. Now, when a stage hypnotist comes out and gives a little bit of a short lecture on hypnosis, saying he is showing the entertainment side of hypnosis, and there is a clinical side, he tells people, you know this whole show depends on you, the audience. You're the people I need for the show. And when he asked the people if there's anybody who would like to volunteer to come up on stage, well, you'd be amazed how many hands go up. But the stage hypnotist doesn't necessarily take all those people. He tells the people, he says, really good subjects are those individuals who have the best ability to imagine, a wonderful imagination, and the ability to concentrate. And he says he will give the whole audience a test for imagination and concentration. He's kind of telling a little lie. What he's actually doing is he's testing the audience to find two very important things. First, who goes into hypnosis like this? Here's a stage show to put on, and he can't waste time with long hypnotic techniques. More importantly, he's testing those people to find out who wants to be there, who's fun, and who's uninhibited in public. These are the people he invites on stage. They're usually the biggest show-offs. They enter hypnosis very rapidly and very easily. Those people, when they hear the suggestions, because they want to have fun, take the mental attitude, I like it, I want it to work, and it does. Many times on the stage, a person thinks they want to do these things, but when it comes time to actually have it happen, they don't have the correct mental attitude, and the suggestion is ineffective. These people, the stage hypnotist sends them back to their seat, or if it's a long enough show, he will then tell them to sit on the stage chair and ignore them for the rest of the show. Stage hypnosis operates by the same rules as clinical hypnosis. You always have the choice as to whether or not you want that suggestion. If you don't want it, truthfully, don't want it, it will be rejected and there will be no change. So you see, hypnosis is really up to you. People ask me, what's your success rate with stopping smoking or helping people lose weight or helping people with some kind of trauma? And I have to be honest with those people. My success rate is 100%. I've had an awful lot of training in hypnosis for an awful lot of years, all around the world. I know exactly what to say to my clients. And if they accept those suggestions, they'll have wonderful change. And if they reject them, they'll have no change. So my success rate is always perfect. Will yours be perfect? If you accept the suggestions with the correct mental attitude, I like it, I know it will work, yes, you'll have 100% success. If you accept any other ideas, you will fail, and it's up to you. I know that you're really going to enjoy our session together, and I'd like you to know that if you have any questions, just write them down on that piece of paper. So when you come back into the office, we could talk about them a little bit more. If there's something I haven't covered in our talk and you'd like to know more, I'd be happy to discuss this with you. And remember, hypnosis was a wonderful, wonderful way to change our lives, and it's available to you. Thank you for giving me